This week I'm going to give you an exclusive on how I was able to interview the bishop who played a role in the surrender of the latest subway shooter here in New York City. A man was shot randomly while he was sitting on the subway going to brunch in the middle of the day, broad daylight, just before noon. Sitting there, someone's pacing up and down in the last car that he's on, walks up to him randomly and shoots him. The police commissioner released footage, pictures, and an ID on someone in connection to this murder. Andrew Abdullah, a bishop from Brooklyn, from Canarsie, basically tried to broker the surrender. And he tried to have it so that the suspect would be surrendering to Mayor Adams. This was mentioned by the bishop at the scene to several members of the press and just seemed to cause even more speculation and confusion. The pastor had showed up. He was in a very attention-grabbing vehicle. He was dressed in a very attention-grabbing kind of a way. That's very confusing. There was a lot of, little bits of information that were being passed around wildly, and I needed to talk to the bishop. I needed to speak to him directly. I needed to find out, first of all, how did he come to play a role in this surrender? Was he steering this individual towards surrendering? There was a bunch of unanswered questions. And also, how did they come up with the plan to surrender this individual to the mayor? I just started looking up addresses, and I picked the one that looked the best to me. It was only about a 10-minute drive away. My photographer and I went over there, and we door knocked it, and this nice woman came to the door. She knew the bishop, so she was able to get him on the phone. Nobody else has been able to get him on the phone. He picked right up for her. So he had serious concerns. He had no trust that we were going to be telling the story in any kind of fair or balanced way, so he was not interested. And he said, I'm going to make some calls. I'll call you back. Several hours later, the bishop called me back. He was ready to talk to us. I asked the question, how does Abdullah know you? How does his family trust you?
Abdullah's family reached out to me because of their family. Some of their family attend my ministry online and sometimes comes in the building. And I actually funeralized one of Abdullah's cousins. His family reached out to me yesterday morning and told me they don't know what to do and they need me to guide them and help them.
And he said he has to turn himself in. If you want, I will, help you do this. And they said they were going to talk to him and that they'd call him back. And they did that. They called him back and said, okay, we trust you. He's going to turn himself in. And the first person the bishop called was the mayor. And they kind of came up with this idea of he would surrender to the mayor at the 5th precinct.
My first call was to the mayor. Said, let me know what I can do to facilitate the surrender.
How do you know the mayor?
Oh, the mayor's my mentor. Me and the mayor, we've done a lot of work in Brooklyn when he was the Brooklyn Borough president, and he helped me out a lot. I don't know if you know that my father, his name was Arthur Miller. He was beaten, strangled to death by 16 police officers. And my father helped Eric as he was growing up. Eric is just, he's been a very good role model to me. At the end of the day, I'm a man of God, and that should be first and foremost.
This interview with the bishop was important because there were so many questions being raised by so many people at the end of this. I mean, it really was confusing how that all came to be, what the connections were, why the mayor was involved. These were questions that were important. They were on a lot of people's minds. We needed to hear answers to these questions. So getting that interview was really important. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you don't want to miss any of the stories we're running on for the New York Post, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again.